It was our 7th wedding anniversary, a day I had waited for with all my heart. I woke up early, cooked his favorite breakfast, and placed a handwritten card on his plate that said, "To many more years of love." He smiled, but not with his eyes. Something felt distant. Around noon, he got a call and stepped outside to answer. I followed quietly and stood near the hallway wall, heart pounding. His voice was low, but clear enough. "Yes, tonight, room 709. Champagne's ready." My hands went cold. Room 709? Champagne? He told me he had back-to-back meetings tonight. He came back inside, kissed my forehead like nothing happened, and said, "Don't wait up. It'll be late." That's when I knew. This anniversary wasn't about me. I stayed quiet, but my eyes had already seen enough. His lies had become so smooth, so polished, that he probably believed them himself now. For dinner, I cooked his favorite biryani, lit candles, even wore the perfume he once said reminded him of our first date. Everything was perfect, almost too perfect. I wanted to see if guilt would flicker across his face, but there was nothing. No hesitation, just a man playing the role of a loving husband. Then, as he reached for his coat, something fell out. A second phone. Not his regular one. This one had no case, no wallpaper, just a black screen that lit up with one text notification. "Room 709 is ready. 8 p.m. I can't wait. Kiss Mark." My heart thudded, but I didn't flinch. Instead, I smiled and handed it to him like I hadn't read a word. He took it quickly, shoved it deep into his pocket, and kissed me on the cheek. "Long meeting tonight. Don't wait up," he said casually. I nodded, but deep down, I had already started planning my own meeting with the truth. I waited exactly 15 minutes after he left, then grabbed my keys and followed him. I already knew the hotel. His text had mentioned the room number, and the name of the place was visible in an older message I'd seen weeks ago. He wasn't even careful anymore. That made it worse. He didn't think I'd ever look. By the time I reached the hotel, the sky had turned the same deep blue as the dress I had purposely chosen tonight, the one I wore on our first anniversary. Only difference? Back then, I was celebrating love. Tonight, I was hunting down betrayal. I didn't go to his room right away. Instead, I checked into the room directly across the hall. Room 710. It was perfect. I could see their door clearly, every move, every kiss, every lie. I set up my phone on a tripod near the peephole, recording silently. Then I opened the minibar, poured myself a drink, and waited. Waited for the kind of heartbreak that doesn't just shatter. It transforms. 8:03 p.m. I couldn't stop watching the clock. Every second felt like an eternity, but my eyes were glued to the door of his room. I could hear the faint sounds of voices, the click of heels on the hotel floor, but nothing could prepare me for what I was about to see. The door opened. There she stood, young, beautiful, and confident, laughing like she owned the world. She wasn't even trying to hide her excitement. Then he appeared, shirtless, his messy hair a clear sign he'd been waiting for her. He looked nothing like the man who had promised me forever just hours ago. He greeted her with a smile that I had once seen directed at me, the smile of someone who thinks they're invincible. He handed her a single red rose and pulled her inside, closing the door softly behind him. My heart didn't break. It shattered. I'd never imagined this, not in my wildest dreams. The man I trusted, the man who had promised me a lifetime, was now standing with another woman, in the very hotel I had believed was meant for us. I could barely breathe. The tears didn't come right away. No, this was different. This was a kind of rage that burned so deeply it made me numb. I looked at the phone again, still recording every moment, not just to remember, but to make him feel this, to make him understand what betrayal really means. It was midnight when I finally walked to his door. My heart was steady, but my hands, they shook just enough to make me smile. This was it, the moment everything changed. I knocked sharply. One knock, then another. The sound echoed through the hallway. A few seconds later, the door swung open. There he was, still looking like he hadn't a care in the world. But when he saw me standing there, the woman he'd just betrayed, his eyes widened, his smile vanished. I stood there, holding a chilled bottle of champagne, 2 glasses, and my deepest rage disguised as calm. "Surprised?" I asked, my voice sweet, almost too sweet. "I thought I'd surprise my husband on our anniversary." I tilted my head slightly, pretending to admire the room. "Oh, and who's this lovely guest?" He stammered. His face went pale. She stood behind him, her eyes darting between the two of us. She wasn't scared. She didn't even seem to care. But I did care. And I wanted him to feel it. I took a step inside, ignoring him, and placed the champagne bottle on the table. "I thought I'd celebrate tonight too. How does it feel to know that everything you said, everything you promised, was just a lie?" I didn't wait for his answer. I was done listening to his excuses. Instead, I reached into my purse and pulled out an envelope. I handed it to him with a smile. Inside are the photos from tonight, the call logs, and divorce papers. Happy anniversary. I turned to her, still standing quietly in the background. "You can keep him, honey, but just remember, he cheats on anniversaries." And with that, I walked out, leaving him with nothing but his lies, a shattered heart, and the weight of the truth. As I walked down the hotel corridor, I could feel my heartbeat slow, the anger turning into a deep sense of satisfaction. I was done. He had no idea what he had just lost, but tonight, I was giving him a gift he would never forget. I reached the elevator, pressing the button with steady fingers, my mind racing. The tears that had been threatening to fall now seemed irrelevant. What I had done was far more powerful than any emotion. I had taken back my dignity, my self-worth. I had taken back my life. The elevator door opened and I stepped inside, but then my phone buzzed. It was a message from him. "Please, don't leave. We need to talk. I'm sorry. I was weak. It meant nothing." I smiled, staring at the message. How typical. How him. I didn't respond. Instead, I pressed the button for the ground floor and let the doors close slowly. No more waiting. No more excuses. I knew he would try to reach me again. Maybe even beg. But it didn't matter. This was the last time. What he didn't realize was that I wasn't just walking away from him. I was walking toward freedom, toward a life where I could finally breathe without looking over my shoulder. A life where I could love myself again. The elevator reached the lobby. I stepped out. No looking back. As I walked out of the hotel, I could hear his frantic calls coming through. But I didn't care anymore. He would never understand how much I had loved him. But now, he'd understand how much I could survive without him. And that was it. The last chapter of our love story. But the first of mine. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. And that was the greatest surprise of all.